Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Splat Chat number, what is this, 25 or something along those lines? Something along those lines. I am Vapor, joined with Pastry, Luna, and Red Shell to start things off after a very hectic week number 6 in the NA League. So, let's start things off first with the NA League, of course. Red Shell, I want to start off with you. We've had our back and forth on an individual level, Triggerfish Zone Supremacy versus Duck Motif, and you're definitely a team with Duck Motif to look at one of those top spots. How are you feeling heading into these last 2 weeks of the league?
Feeling pretty good right now. We're looking pretty good on the leaderboard. We've had a few good sets against a lot of good teams, and I think we got a good chance at doing well these last for the next few weeks coming up. Maybe get to the playoffs.
You guys are knocking right on that door. You're ready for those top teams right there. So, and let's just continue forward. Duck Motif, with yourself, a really strong brush player, and it's not just you up there with the ink brush weapon class. We have 3Z on the side of 5 or Fofofo, one of those two teams. I don't remember which, but there's a few other top brush players playing in this event. Alongside Pastry, I'll go over to you to talk a little bit more about the significance of brush showing its face.
Absolutely. It's been very cool seeing brushes as the game has progressed, because brushes, whether it's ink brush, whether it's octo, they've always been there to some extent. Brush has never been just never there. There's always someone pushing, Red Shirt, for example, for a while. Also, I find it really interesting how that kid is playing both the ink brush and octo as well. Just generally brushes will switch to one another, but it does feel like their impact is starting to become more and more notable as the weeks progress.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder if the meta shifts have something to do with it, with how more aggressive the teams are generally getting, and Octobrush being a gun that can play off of that aggression by punishing it well, or Inkbrush just being able to start it itself.
Yeah, that definitely. Brushes in particular are doing very great right now, and looking over at the losers finals as well, I was a little bit corrected here, but looking at this, but what we have a Fofofo with that kid on the Octobrush, and of course, Rachel, you have your experience with Octobrush being your main weapon, of course. So maybe you have a little bit of a mindset on the general idea Octobrush wants to play, similar to how that kid wants to play as well.
Yeah, well, Octopus really wants to play around its teammates. It's been really cool seeing all these brush players becoming more prominent in the NA League, especially. I've seen, especially Dat Kid's been doing really well recently. And especially with his play style, he's playing a lot around his teammates with how aggressive they are, waiting for his teammates to take aggression, and then he can run in, get a few picks. It's a lot of what Brush, or especially what Octobrush is trying to do in the game of Splatoon, because it has a difficult fighting things by itself, so it needs its teammates around it. So it's always looking for those small opportunities to get the jump on someone and trying to play around its teammates.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that right here as well, as their teammates end up pushing in, that kid just decides to fall back and make a full pincer maneuver to allow 3Z to move up there and find that final pick, which does end up giving them the knockout at the end of the day. So that's a really, really good play there, and of course with these rise of Octobrushes, definitely very impactful overall, and there's been more weapons as well that's been making a name for itself, especially with this being the first Nintendo event in a long time. Pastry, I know you've been looking a little bit into it about the weaponry and things. Do you have any like notable weapons that we've seen a little bit of a rise on other than the Inkbrush weapon class?
Yeah, I do have to give a shout out to one of the weapons I've seen Fofofo play a few times, the Junior. I wasn't able to find any direct games this week, but I do know they played it. And with their composition of having the Junior alongside the Wiper and the Octobrush, like two weapons that can take a bit of aggression. Octo, like as you know, Red talked about, isn't that great at finishing opponents on its own, but can play off of other people's aggression. Having the Junior alongside with that for a very mobile bubble and getting so much bubbles in general, just being a Junior, it seems very interesting. I do remember that Junior was a weapon that was hyped up around 2024 when the Stamper dive stuff started to get really popular. But after that, it fell off really hard. I do wonder if more teams are finding value in a format like this where there's so many different map modes and so many things to account for.
Yeah, there's a lot to really pay attention to. Juniors especially, just being one of those weapons where you can get caught off guard very much, but it also doesn't make it a lot. It doesn't make it a lot easier to go against, but it also doesn't make it a lot harder in a way, because Junior it does have a lot shorter range. It does have a little bit further weapon shot spread, but a more aggro Junior can keep a lot of forward paint and just push everyone away from your own team, because they can play a little bit scared with that paint disadvantage that the Junior definitely can help put your own team in.
Yeah, paint so fast. Luna, what do you think about Junior in this meta right now? I remember you play like a variety of those shorter range shooters.
I honestly, I don't know, honestly.
Fair.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like short-range shooters are, like, at a disadvantage right now. Some shooters, like T-Tech, probably have more, like, use because of the strikes. But otherwise, like, with my main weapon, with Zuka, like, Zuka just gets outclassed so easily sometimes if you have, like, the right specials on the other team, so... I mean, yeah.
Would right specials be things like Bubble, for example, or?
Yes, Bubble, and mainly Bubble, I guess Crab too, but you can counter Crab pretty easily as well, so...
Yeah, Crab is quite neutral overall against Zuka. It's like, hey, with Zuka you can hit the shot and get that first pick, or you can just make that first shot and force the crowd to ball or just run away. And now basically both of your specials end up becoming effectively, I don't want to say useless, but just neutralized.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
And another weapon we saw a little bit earlier on in the league, especially in the lead up to the league, was the Decavitator, the Mint Decavitator with that bubble. And overall, throughout time, we've seen many of those Mint Decavitator players switch back over to the Splatana Wiper a little bit. Some notable players being 3Z overall, switching from that bronze paintbrush to the Wiper, Henlo switching over to the Wiper, and Omega and Sam flexing over to it every once in a while in their own right. So, right, Red Shell, I want to go to you for this, and especially going up against these weapons. How do you really feel about this general switch from fighting a Decav versus a Wiper, and how they could mix around these comps?
Well, really the difference that people are playing around with Viper and Decav is the speed they're looking for. Viper's a very quick weapon, and it can play a lot more for itself than I'd say what Decav can do. Um, it's able to force. I guess it's like forces tempo and pushes the enemy team back on in a more aggressive way than what Decav can. But if teams are playing for Decav, they're mostly looking to get some extra paint, uh, aggressive one shots around where the Decav is. So they're more playing for space. I guess to hold a line rather than what the Viper's trying to accomplish, which is to run in and force the enemy team away more. So a lot of teams right now, especially if they're playing like Rainmaker, they're looking for something that can really like pressure the enemy team and force them back in order to allow their teammates to move up farther, especially with all the vacs and stuff happening. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the modes definitely look like they play a big deal when it comes to Viper being picked more often. You mentioning Mint and the whole idea of keeping a line, that does make sense where it's like Mint, it's very good at catching players when they walk into it, or just very good at maintaining an area. But then in Rainmaker, it's like get a good push, like that's not enough. So then that makes sense having a Viper for that mobility and that tempo factor. It does look more valuable, yeah.
Yeah. Just the constant speed and movement that Viper can give, on top of giving you a hammer option, which is just another special you can just throw at the opposing E-leader or Snipe Rider player, and now they're forced to move out of the way into a slightly worse position, or just end up going down entirely against Splat, which gives now your team with that Viper the numbers advantage in that meantime. So it just opens up a lot more opportunity to keep that offensive pressure going, and it was very interesting to see that overall. But Pastry, I want to go back to you on something you noted down before this that I didn't really get to look up too much into, but you noted down something with the faux bracket reset against FT Win.
Yes, I did. From what I saw earlier, they did lose to FT Win 03 in top 8, but then they made a pretty crazy losers run all the way back to Grands, finding the 1-3 against FT Win, and also finding another 1-3 against FT Win. They're able to take the Grand Finals and the Grand Finals reset that way. I did see the that in the Turf War game, especially, I believe the Turf War game in the reset, that Fovo, they were winning strong. They were winning very confident, and in general, the Viper looked really good for how FT Win played that game, like how they played Turf War Urchin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we just see a lot of this early game going into the favor of Fofofo, as they're just able to find one pick after another and just slowly move their way up before they end up getting picked off. Which at this point, Harshy was in a really strong position on that upper side. Yeah,
I clean up on the crab.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a very nice play there, and looking towards the end of course, it's going to be Fofofo to win it in the bracket reset on Makomart. So that must have been very close overall. I didn't really get much of a chance to watch it, but do you have anything to note about it? Any of you? Do any of you have anything to note about the bracket reset? No? Alright. So
I do wonder if Fofofo is gonna be one of the teams to podium the whole entire thing. There were a lot of the quote unquote top teams missing out, or not playing in this week specifically, but still they won 2 sets against FT Win, and in the other tournaments or other runs they've done, like Fofofo has looked solid. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up taking the podiuming if they can keep this momentum up.
Yeah,
Definitely agree. They've been playing really strong.
Definitely agree too.
mhm. Yeah, they've been doing very very well overall, and well, and the key players as well. Underrated teams or players heading into these final 2 weeks. Luna, let's start with you and your knowledge about these teams. Is there anyone or team that you are interested in heading into these final few weeks?
I honestly think you're gonna find this really funny, but Triggerfish Zone Supremacy.
Whoa.
They've been doing really well against these top teams, and I'm excited to see more. So
Now Red Shell may beg to differ about that.
Hey, you guys are doing great. All right. Always a fun time against Triggerfish.
Yeah, you taking us to any mode on Crab Leg. Yeah, that seems like a lot of fun.
Yep. And we got to play around that E leader.
Yeah.
yep, you gotta play around your teammates.
And that's just how you make good counter picks. Like, Doug Motif knows how to play against Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, so they make that choice to be like, hey, this is our best option to take this win, so let's just go for it. And well, if we need to choose a mode, well, sure, they could win that, but we still have it in our back pocket.
I'd also like to join in on this discussion here, saying that we also took you guys to Crab Leg. Did we win? No, but hey, you know.
Hey, it was a good shot. A good shot.
Yeah.
But you really have to take us to Crab Leg on Turf War?
Yeah. It was like Clemson was. It was Clemson. So one of the two.
Yeah.
But
All right. Hey.
Turf War is an interesting mode, though.
Hey,
I like it.
Turf is great. Look, like, Pastry, I know you have a little bit of bias on Turf War right now. With playing a lot of events across the Pacific with some other JP players, getting some area cup reps yourself. Luna, I don't know much about your experience overseas, but I know you're playing in Inkwave, which we'll discuss a little bit later on. But right, Shell, I'm more curious about your position on Turf War in this event.
Oh, I think Turf War is great. I really like Turf War.
yes.
Let's go.
It's not a perfect mode by any means, but
Mhm.
it's got some interesting counter picks. One being Crab Leg, I think. That one certainly is a stage. But I think it's a great addition to I guess just the whole map pool. I think stuff like really Crab Leg, Uwami, and Urchin have stood out to me as Turf War stages. A lot of teams pick those, and it's made some really interesting games throughout the season. So
Yeah. It is very interesting just looking at the map options for Turf War as well, because you have one of the largest maps. I'm pretty sure Urchin is the third largest map by paintable area in the game. And then you have Umami, which is the smallest map of paintable area in the game. So you have a wide variety there. So do you want to play paint heavy early and then try to play neutral for the rest of the time? Or do you just want to try to keep paint down and then play for that neutral game at the very end? Like that, it's a very interesting choice, but both have been seen pretty favorably from what I've seen across the action.
yeah, it really comes down to those engagements in mid with that. It's some stages it makes it a lot more awkward when how easy it is to flank behind the enemy team. Like Makomar Turf War is a great example where you can just run
Yeah.
into the enemy team spawn, and there's almost nothing the other team can do sometimes. But Uwami and even Urchin to an extent, there's a pretty big choke point from mid into the other team's spawn, so it makes it a lot more difficult to run in there. And so those engagements in mid on both those stages are a lot more crucial for Turf War. And that really comes down to the wire in the last 30 seconds.
I noticed as well that like because the like mobs like Umami and Urchin, they're so choke point heavy that top team sometimes play like they push up on Umami like to the court and they would just stay there like for a long time, which is it's so weird seeing because like in zones Umami, for example, right? Like teams like the moment they can take the opponent's dome, it's like they'll often take it as long as it's like moderately safe. Sometimes teams like to be riskier there, but like with how turf points are so based on the last second, it really forces some dynamic gameplay that like just don't see in other modes. It's so interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting to see, and I want to take this turn back over to a key player throughout this event, which could definitely be noted down for flanking and this is it new edition of Hypernova because they don't have a few of their other players.
So my knowledge, Hypernova, one of their players left, and now they got flanking on.
Okay.
So they had to reset their points and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. It's very brutal, especially after week number 4, regular season number 2, where you can't make any roster changes without resetting your points entirely, and like so you're effectively needed to go for that long haul and just play a lot straight. But Flinking made a really good play towards the end of the Hypernova run in losers finals against Fo.
Yeah, the Flanking Ballistic here. I remember it was like I was listening to a watch party of this loser finals match, and then Flanking like got this double. Like not only the casters are going insane, but like everyone in the call was like, oh my god, dude, I've been watching Flanking ever since X Strength. They're finally playing. Oh my god, it's so good to have a shot.
Yeah, that's just great positioning and great working around the team. Just playing around this right side and creating a slight pincer maneuver here as well. Like Flanking playing across off this slick and just getting some shots above the ledge while Synapse is on the other side, they're either forced into flanking or forced into Synapse, and they can't really make an easy choice there.
I'm interested on how flanking will bring the flings to like whatchamacallit. I'm interested on how he will like rise with the Flingza roller in top level. Like as a Flingza player in Turf War, it's very interesting and very cool to see Flingza in top level. So I look forward to what Flinking can do.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting, and I'm going to hand this off over to Pastry and Fern here in a second, as you two definitely pay a lot of attention towards Area Cup and a very interesting weapon placing in the top 2 of the event.
Oh god. When Twitter saw this, they actually exploded. It was so insane. It was so insane. Okay, so there's one sniper in this game that has not received any love. It lost MPU. It lost everything. It lost. It has a kit that's decent, but not as good as it was in S2. The Squiffer. Everybody sweeps on the Squiffer. No one thinks it's like really that insane. But Q, a 3.7k Squiffer main, ended up getting second in the last Area Cup last weekend. That was insane.
I saw that. I was very shocked when I saw the Squiffer getting top 2. Insane work.
Yeah, it's a gun that's just like so there is kind of an idea the West has of like of Japan being like they'll pick like the most weird weapons, like they'll pick like Dreadringer D and then like top 4 in Area Cup. It's like, oh my god, guys, look at that! This weapon won Area Cup, so therefore it's good. It happens less often than people give it credit for, and getting second especially is insane. Just like to break down the team themselves, the team itself was like insanely fast, by the way. Like the comp, it was leader Try Nouveau, Squiffer with Bucket, which is crazy, but Goyame, the leader player, has got top 10 in Splat so far, 3.8k XP, so really, really, really good leader. They're also a previous Area Cup runner-up, so used to being at that top level. Ko was the Bucket player, and Ko is one of the best, if not the best Bucket in Splatoon 3. I like Ko and Entana. Really insane player with a lot of results. And Kino Pico, who was the second Bucket, the Tri-Slash Nouveau, also previously was an Area Cup runner-up and has 3.3k. So the roster itself, very, very, very good. But I do have the notes that their run, it was still difficult. It was still very difficult, but it wasn't as insane as the sort of standard Area Cup semifinals. Some people could like look at the semifinals and see like, okay, well, the finals was the other set basically. It was an Iraten pickup with Momo, and the other side had Lobster, and that top 4 match was crazy. This semis match still had very, very great players in it. Like, don't want to get it twisted. Every single player that qualified in top cut is insane. And in fact, they in quarterfinals, this group 2-0 the group that I got that shit on me. So like they're all very good, but it wasn't like they fought like a quote unquote super god team to get there. But still, very impressive run around the board. Very, very, very impressive run.
For sure.
When it comes to leader with Tri-Swasher, though, this is a duo that no one really thinks about. It's some people probably say it's pretty bad, just like by intuition. But at least for that duo of a Tri that can maybe shark really well, and then the leader that has very good space control. What do you guys think about like? Could that duo have some potential, or is it just like the players themselves being insane?
Yeah,
I think with like the right weapons, it could work. Sorry for interrupting you.
You're good. I mean, I'm almost more surprised seeing the Tri Nouveau up there, because at least in the West, not many people have very high, or really like the Tri Nouveau anymore. And it's got a lot of weaknesses, but giving its team sharking capability is good, especially with the E-Leader and Squiffer giving it lines to move up. It could definitely work, but with all its weaknesses, it definitely makes it more difficult to get to work than other things like maybe Zap, or even in probably not 96, but it is fun to see it at least.
For sure.
Perry, what do you think about the Tri-Swasher? Is it just that hard to make work? Is it surprisingly easy? Like, what's your thoughts about it?
I mean, it's definitely the weirder weapon in that comp. I saw some people on, I think, Blue Sky comparing this team to the old Japanese team in Splatoon 2 that ran E-Leader Squiffer. And I don't know if they ran Tri at all, but I mean, I don't know if I would ever describe Tri as hard, but it is definitely playing a cooler weapon that is not that much of a painter, especially when you're competing with things like Dapple and Zap, which are much more commonly leader comps, is unusual. You're kind of trading the kill power like from as opposed to Dapple, you have more poking power with the Fizzy Bomb, as opposed to Zap, you are way fightier. Both of which you kind of need when you have two chargers on your team, but it's definitely odd to see. Like if you said, "Oh, we're gonna run two chargers," I don't think you would expect the second pick to be Try, um, especially since it seems like that team would really struggle painting anything. Um, but I don't know. They made it work.
Made it work indeed. I am wondering how that there is this sort of idea that the comp itself can be made up for with individual skill. But in a case like this, where it's two snipers with a tri-slosher that, as you're saying, has no paint, and it's like, what even is this? This looks like a solo queue comp. But with it's four players that are this individually each good on their weapons, this almost feels like it expands the idea of how much individual skill can make up for a bad comp.
Okay, you're gonna have to fill me in on where we are in the procedure. Of course, I have been here the whole time, trust. But what are we looking at? We're on Discover. We've talked
Talked
about
about the NA League. That's all I
right.
remember.
For
Yes,
a
the
quick
NA
take on NA League, Biscuit has been running Nautilus for the past 2 weeks, mostly in maps without that are not backline favored. And of course, Biscuit, formerly top 2 Nautilus, maybe the best Nautilus in North America in Splatoon 2. Definitely a best Nautilus in the West, pretty much, in Splatoon 2. But I don't think anyone has seen him play the weapon since Splatoon 2, so
it's been a while.
that was cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I think flanking doing well is almost not that much of a surprise. To my knowledge, flanking has won the past 2 plus server draft cups. So very, very good player. I think like slotting them into a core, like the Hypernova core that is very used to playing around odd weapons and also has a ton of frontline firepower with Synapse and Henlo is definitely going to work well. So I wouldn't say that's really a surprise, especially when you have, I would say Prosper on pencil. I think he also played like C-Jet or something. But
Wow.
Prosper on pencil and backline in general is unusual. Prosper is also a Nautilus player, but like not really, mostly a Splat player. So I guess that must have been something they were trying in scrims, but
It's interesting that you mentioned C-Jet because you would think that like players would prefer the one of Burst Bomb Splashdown nowadays because of just overall kit. But C-Jet, it is really interesting.
yeah, I
I'm
think
surprised.
teams mostly I think they were picking it for a Rainmaker niche map. Makes
Fair.
sense. It's the Toxic Mist weapon. I believe they were playing it
Yeah.
on Urchin, so I imagine they just needed something to swap off on Pen, and Prosper didn't
Yeah.
want to blast her. But
And
yeah,
also like
that's
with that chokehold, around like the 40,
yeah, the
50
greats.
mark, like yeah, the greats, it's very difficult to get through of Toxic Mist, so spamming that toxic mist on there is really nice.
Yeah. Hold on, let me pull up the. Also, I think the question on my mind when it comes to the NA League is I mean, I know we haven't seen Milky Way be honestly as active as I assumed they would be. They missed last week. Like they've been kind of playing on and off. But I think like Milky Way is probably the favorite, but we've also seen them lose to FT Win. But now with FT Win getting, I mean, pretty convincingly 3-1, 6-2'd in grands by
Mhm.
Fofofo. Like, at what point? I mean, Fofofo are not the number one ranked team, but they certainly have. And like earlier on in the season, they were middle of the pack. So is this just sort of a? I guess like at what point does Fofofo become a favorite to win? Maybe not like the league, meaning like maybe not the favorite, but like a favorite, because it's, I mean, it would be pretty easy to write this past week off as to like, okay, it was just a little bit of a fluke because Fofofo has kind of been doing like a bit middling, but like they've been pretty consistent the past week or two in getting to really high placings. Yeah, I am not. So I was pretty surprised to see FT1 lose 3-1, 3-1, and Fofofo, despite having basically half of their team be retired players, essentially. When it comes to the major scene, is looking like a favorite to win the NA League, which is curious. A team that is like half DNA players, and now Harshi, and also Harshi has been playing the last few weeks. That potentially has been part of them having any sort of having a resurgence. But Harshi's not really been playing pencil. I believe Harshi's kind of said on stream that they just don't enjoy it at the moment.
Mm.
But the like, so I think we've seen Harshi on like mini and I think some edit, just like other support weapons. After Harshi has not been super active this fall. So I don't know. The recent Fofofo results have been a uh a surprise for me. I don't know if Red Shell, if you've been playing them outside of NA League or anything else, if you have any like if you first saw them performing as well as they have, or if that is also like if it's new.
Well, I mean, I haven't played them much outside of the NA League, but my team's been going against them for a while now in the NA League, and they've been doing at least really good against us. Doc Matif's been trying to adapt. We got to figure out some other strategy to try to beat them. But I think with what you were saying about with when are we going to know if they're a contender to win this whole thing or even just get top three, we're going to have to wait at least a few more weeks to see how they stack up against Milky Way and if what FT Win can do to maybe bring a new strategy or something to counteract what Fofofo was doing against them. Fofofo is a very aggressive team and they're hard to adapt to on the fly. So FT Win already did beat them 3-1 earlier in the tournament, so they can compete against them. It's just a matter of them figuring out how to actually adapt efficiently enough in the moment. And then other teams like Moonlight, I know have done well against Fofofo, which I don't know if they fought them last tournament, but it will be interesting to see how they stack up against them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a really good job at really making their name known as the weeks progressed. I've noticed to FFO. And like even mid tournament technically, because like they did get that double 3-1 on 2 FT1, but FT1 0-3 them in the top 8. So they seem to be a team that is tournament tested, even if like they're semi inactive and like can adapt when needed. It's very interesting.
Yeah, Fofofo's really good. They got a good chance of doing really well in the playoffs, or the finals.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to how they do in playoffs.
But
Yeah. So we could. If there's anything else from the league, I think definitely Milky Way's absence has been noted. Was Moonlight was playing in this past week? No, they weren't. So Moonlight also absent. I think the one maybe surprise is Sunset, which is a new group. And Sunset being a team of Splat, Fishy, Captain Happy, and Ori. So essentially just the facade core. It seems like post Hypernova breakup, Happy has gone back to all reliable with Splat, and also Ori, who, I mean, very good slosher. This is a definitely a newer tier of results for them. Sunset, like even like they 3-1 bet, in earlier on they, I mean they 3-0'd Healthy Dive groups, but not the craziest result. But it is definitely a breakout team that I think might have been partially enabled by the absence of Moonlight and by the absence of
Milky Way.
Milky Way, yeah. If you like, I don't know if you guys have any, if that's a surprise. I mean, given the roster, it's not really a surprise that that team is doing well, but it is they are a bit of a breakout. I think the Hypernova mid-season kind of collapse has definitely spawned good teams, but I don't think Sunset will also. I mean, they won't be able to play the finals because they've just kind of formed week 6, so that's a little bit rough. I think that sort of the cap on NA League of like the roster lock is good. I think, in that it kind of forces you to stick together, but also, and even if there wasn't a roster lock, it's not like you'd have to play 5 weeks anyway. But it does make it harder for roster, like the fact that you can't even change 1 or 2 players mid-season is pretty rough for a team's persistence. Like I think I'm not exactly sure why 5 is no longer playing, but I imagine it wasn't because it seems like there were several members on the team who did want to continue to play. So, like, I don't know, the roster luck is, I think, hurting the competition a little bit.
Yeah, you got.
As much as the Splatoon NA League is about being able to play well and efficiently, like win with your team, it's a big endurance test too. It seems like so the Splatoon League, or like I guess the Splatoon community doesn't really see tournaments that last for this long, and so I mean, there's Ludi that comes up every so often, but at top level, is normally you just, well, I guess like it's really prevalent to play with pickups nowadays, and so I guess part of it's like people aren't used to like sticking on the team for like 10 weeks straight, and you can't make any changes. And I think it's a better overall for it to be in the NA League because it makes it more structured, allows like viewers to take note of teams that have been playing throughout each tournament, and there's a few other benefits to it, but it is hampering the some of the teams that had to drop. They are all really good, and so I don't, to my knowledge, 5 isn't playing also still. So having both 5 and Hypernova out of potentially getting top 8 is pretty big. So it'll really change up what happens in the final top 8.
Well, yeah,
Soon.
I think one of my questions was, at the moment, like Hypernova is kind of, wait, hold on. Okay, I corrected myself. Hypernova is not within the top 8, but if they were, I was wondering like what would happen essentially if a team had played 5 weeks and then disbanded, but had like performed super well in those 5 weeks, like what would happen essentially, like, but like all of the teams in the standings right now are currently teams, and Bet has taken rank 6. Milky Way is sitting at rank 5, which I think is very low, but I also think they just haven't played as
Played.
many weeks as most of the other teams. Fofofo now rank 1 by a pretty sizable margin, and with a relatively sizable win gap over the other teams. And of course Duck Motif, which it seems like you guys are winning on a lot. You guys have had a ton of consistency, I think, compared to the other teams in the top 8. Like, I think Duck Motif was rank 1 for a while. Despite, I don't think you have won a week outside of the practice. So, like, I guess, like, Red Shell, what's been the consistency factor for Duck Motif? Is it just like familiarity because you've been playing together for so long, or like what's been the
Yeah,
contributor to
part of
that?
it's that we're really trying to take this somewhat seriously, and we're trying to have fun with it, but we're trying to do our best to compete to our best potential in this league. And so we've been trying to play as many tournaments as we can. And we haven't actually made it out of past top 4 yet in any one of these tournaments that we've played. We have had a few good wins against some good teams, and we're trying to adapt to some teams we struggle against, like Bet and Fofofo. But really, it's our consistency is mainly like we're all friends. We've just been playing together for years now. Bandit, Drift, and Kino have been on the team since we've been playing together ever since like 2021 or 2022 or something crazy like that. And
Wow.
then Kara's been around
That's
for at least a year
crazy.
now, so we just keep going, see how good we can get.
Yeah.
Um, one thing that's weird, I don't know, this isn't huge, but my team actually, we're supposed to have 50 more points to my knowledge if I did the math right, but Nintendo didn't update it properly, so I
Oh,
don't know why.
I'm just kind of curious.
So like technically you'd be like you should be like second right now.
Yeah, technically, as long as I did the math correctly, but they didn't update it for some reason.
Yeah. I'll say it almost wouldn't be an NA champs if you guys weren't playing it. For the past
Yep.
how many years? So
We gotta sneak
let's
in
just
somehow, so
yeah. I also think TZS with five being out of the running essentially, and Healthy Diet sitting at 10th, like with a pretty small point lead. Like if Healthy Diet I think plays really well over the next 2 weeks, which we only have 2 weeks remaining in the league, and if teams like Rain Dance or Halcyon play really well, albeit they have a little bit farther to go, but it seems like at the moment I think Rain Dance, Halcyon, and TZS and Healthy Diet food groups will all be sort of competing for the spot that right now seems to is under TCS's control. Another just like extremely experienced team. Um, but I would say that I would not have expected TZS to be top 8. I mean, obviously they're definitely a solid team, but given the caliber of especially Halcyon, and how storied those players are, I think Halcyon has just not played very much, but since the first few weeks, but still, TCS being in the spot is kind of strange.
yeah, I mean TCS has been playing a lot these past few weeks. They've been doing pretty good too. It is going to be difficult for them to keep that spot, but if they can somehow like clutch some wins out against some of these other teams, they might keep it. HDFG is definitely going to be trying to play and get that one though. I know Halcyon probably can't play in the last week, so unless they figure out something, they probably won't be able to get top 8.
Yeah.
But
I will say for TCS, we have played every week up to this point. We are not playing this upcoming weekend.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it might be the. I mean, like right now I'm looking at Rain Dance sitting at rank 11, but with a like 30-point gap to make up. That's kind of 2 weeks of point gain at this point, so they'd have to play really, really well the next 2 weeks. But I mean, I want Rain Dance. I would be excited if Rain Dance made it in because then we'd have two Nautilus, like 1.5 Nautilus players, um,
Better
in
than
top eight.
one.
Yeah, more than
Yeah.
one. Kind of two, and keep you and Cool Biscuit. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll see if TCS holds the spot because it's not like 30 points at this point. Um, is less than is like isn't just like just play another week. It's play another week and like do better than you did the previous week. So it will be a test. I think Rain Dance I think they might have been top 8 a few times, maybe. But definitely not like when you look at the teams in top 8, like Moonlight missed out on last week, but still sitting at rank 4, also another extremely consistent team. It seems like the consistent teams more than the are doing a little bit better than the really high peak teams. Like I think Moonlight, not Moonlight, but I think Milky Way, where which I mean makes sense when you consider that the tournament is 24 hours of Splatoon essentially.
It's a
Minimum.
while.
Yeah, it's a
24
lot of
hours of
playing.
ladder and much more of bracket. So it's kind of not really just a marathon. It's like one marathon per week for 8 weeks. Yeah, someone had Milky Way's win-loss ratio, which is 42 wins to 5 losses, which is just a little bit, which I think, granted, I don't think they've played quite as much as the other teams. I think they're like a week short of the other teams, but almost as good as Five's win record of 41-6. So, like, I'm Milky Way, like they're at rank 5. They're I don't think they have. I mean, we've seen them lose to FD Win, but it's been really really close. But I mean, like with how FFO has been playing, I'm like, if you asked me at the start of the league, I would say that Milky Way is probably going to win, but I don't think it's clear cut at all at the moment. Um. Anyway,
Yeah, well,
I think yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see what they can do against what Milky Way can do against Fofofo. We're really gonna have to see some of these teams start playing these last 2 weeks because of if they don't play, there's gonna be a lot of point changes, especially in those bottom 4 spots, maybe bottom 5. So I'm sure teams like Milky Way are gonna start playing again, hopefully, and then we'll see how they do.
yeah. So I think next on the hold on the register, I think we have we could talk a little bit about Inkwave, which I know Paster has probably been wanting to all day.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you wanna rant about that for a bit.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of like area cup that we didn't get to like fully cover. I
Okay,
will like
sure.
look at that section briefly, and then we talk about Inkwave. But something very interesting about the area cup that happened last week was the amount of Western teams that showed up. I actually have a bit of fun stories about it. We just pull up the bracket here, but there was 4 of them, and for the team specifically, I got to help out each of them with the sign up phase. It's very nice how they made the sign ups. At the same time, it's very awkward. Like Frutella and Free Flow, they both almost got DQ'd, for example, but like we were able to catch up there. But it does make me think that, similar to Inklave, which we are gonna cover shortly, as teams across the world, realize, hey, this might be a quote Japanese tournament, but like it's open to any Splatoon player. Like if someone's schedule lines up, like it's something that they could go to. It does seem like over time there are like more and more players that are showing that are like, no, hey, I want to do this too. I want to be a part of fighting 3.5K players too. This seems pretty cool. At least in terms of like the stackedness of the players, I would say the two biggest teams were Frutella and Free Flow. Free Flow, you know, like both of them were in the Spot World Series, which is crazy. But it was cool to see. Frutella was like also kind of close to getting top cut. It would have been so cool to see like a Western team get top cut. But that's pretty much the main point there. But yeah, Inkwave. Inkwave! Oh my gosh.
Wave.
Inkwave! Okay. So just to answer, you know, with the question of what even is this? Like, what is this in the first place? Imagine this as a hybrid of Luti and Sendokyu. So you have the scheduling system of Luti, you have the set map list across the 4 weeks, but then also there's the Sendokyu aspect of an ELO. And something very, very nice about Inkwave specifically is that it tries to get teams of similar ELO to face off each other each week. You queue up to this bot, you say, hey, I want to play at this time, this time, this time, and this time. And then the bot's gonna like look at all the teams that also are lined up for there and be like, okay, you guys have similar ELO, you guys will face off each other. And I find it really interesting hitting that hybrid because technically a team can be at the bare bottom and then they can still make their way up to the top. Compared to something like Woody, where it's like, if you are a player with 0 results and you're like a god player, you're still going to be like one of the bottom dibs. Because like the seeding console just won't low because like the seeding inherently, it's based off of people's previous results. I do wonder. Yeah.
That sounds really interesting. That kind of format's really fun. And implementing the, I guess the random aspect, do teams know who they're going to fight before going into it? Or is it...
They don't, yeah. They just, all they do is like they hit a button for the time, and then the bot's like, hey, you guys are going to face each other now. Smile.
Oh, yeah.
It's very cool. Something else that is pretty interesting about the map mode specifically for Inkwave is that it's 6 maps, but the 6 maps themselves, they're all five modes are played in them, and that does include Turf War. So, for example, yeah, like I did have a stageless picture for it, but
oh,
like,
is that why you made us scrim like that?
Good question. I mean, I mostly did that because like our team just wanted like practice for the ending week at the time. But yeah, okay. All 6 of the maps, like Eel Tail, Museum, Umami, Barnacle, the whole shebang here, all 5 modes are playable. It's and the formats themselves. The first round is always zones on a random map. Then for game 2, the alpha team chooses the mode, and then again it's a random stage. And then game 3, the Bravo team chooses the mode, and it's a random stage. So basically, neither team has control of what stage, but they do have control of the modes. And it is play all 3. The games you play do affect your overall ELO.
Are the stages random too for the map pool?
Yeah, full random out of D6. So it's like you can pick. Yeah, you can be like a what's like a funny example. You could be like a. No, there's no like urchin situation, but like if there was like a really short range map and you're a short range player, you would have to like pray that you don't get like eel tailed. You pray you don't get like a Muria. It's a bit funny there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little surprising seeing those 2 maps.
Yeah,
those are interesting.
It's good practice though. Like even though like you don't really like the maps, it's good practice for like solo queue and especially like these overseas tournaments in Japan. Like they don't care like if you don't like a map, you just have to play it.
Yeah, it is interesting there. I did also did some research because there's 400 teams here. So it's like, if there's 400 teams signing up, some team has to be good, right? I would hope so. If there's no good teams, then I'd start crying. But did end up finding a few groups that, looking at it, they're like, oh wow, okay, yeah, this is legit. This here is legit. The first one, and they actually had they're the highest ranked team right now, which is probably not a surprise. But their team name is Zoo. And the players on here, if you guys have like tuned into the Splat World series or just some of like the very top level Japanese Splatoon in general, there are some household names here. The top player there, Lusu, is arguably a founding father of competitive Splatoon. He plays pretty much any weapon under the sun, just whether he feels like that kind of day. Lately, he's been trending more towards like the supported type stuff, like the shot, sometimes even the pen. But yeah, some of Rusu's best results. He's qualified for the Nobody Best Finals, which is a Tour 4 major that's happening pretty soon. Placed, I believe, third in the Splat World series. I would need to double check there. But multiple Area Cup wins, really high XP counts. This player is just insane. Right? Under that. Yeah.
I also recognize Toto over there on the decav.
Oh, yeah.
Decav. Insane decav player.
Yeah, Toto, truly ridiculous player here. Truly ridiculous player. The best mid to ever do it, most likely. Third in the Splat World series. Multiple Area Cup wins. There was a third cup tournament that was like, I don't think it was that notable in the West because it was kind of a gimmicky tournament, and two, it's the only reason why people cared is because like, okay, this third kid tournament would happen. Surely they announced third kids, right? They didn't, but Toto ended up winning that thing. 3.9k XP, peaked rank 1 in zones as well. So just like, yeah, that player is insane here.
Okay, but surely they announced third kits after NA League, right? Like, surely.
Smile.
Surely.
Smile.
Be a thing with Raiders.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, they're gonna announce Raiders and then third kids. Yes.
Yep.
Nintendo, please.
Please.
But some of
I
the
need
other
the
players.
Sheldon's picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need
Some of the
Nautilus
other-
39 or Nautilus something.
Yeah. Some of the other players here. I'll go through this team. The rest of these players though quicker since there's a 3 teams signed up. 3 notable teams, I would say. So there's some other like crazy teams, but like at least out of these 3, Okuda is that Splat League player there. Also got third in the Splat World series and has a lot of chemistry with Toto. Toto and Okuda, they play a lot together. So those two being on the same team is very scary. Gontan, which is the third player, one of the best front lines ever in Splatoon. Played Squeezer before, but now plays S-Blast after Squeezer kind of got gutted and S-Blast is broken. And also peaked third in the Splat World series here. It does look like for weapons-wise, they chose the Splash as their number 1, but yeah, the S-Blast is there. I do not know why the 92 is there. I swear to everything that is above, they're not going to play the slider S-Blast. That is a debate.
I was about to ask, like, that's a very interesting pick, but now that you mentioned that, that they're gonna play the other S-Blast, I'm like, okay, it was a debate.
Yeah, Kontan is very sweaty when it comes to his picks. Very sweaty. And then finally there, the 5th player, Nentana. Probably the best bucket to ever do it. That's not a probably, actually. They are. They're him. He's him. Yeah, that rounds out that roster. Definitely the favorites to take it, I would say. But there's a couple other teams here. This next one here, their name is Udemy. Yeah.
That past team is just the team from SWS, right? Rusu, Toto, Kontan, Okura.
I'm pretty sure it's the exact same. Yeah,
I think it is the same.
And then Tana's just there to be like, "Hi, I'm here too." But there's something actually a bit of a fun fact about the because of this format and how it's like random stage and 5 modes. Most teams are gonna have 5 people because if someone like doesn't like a map mode, they can just get switched out like mid game. And because it's a bot that chooses the map, like they don't have to guess as soon as this map select. Like it's like, okay, you're playing on Robin. Okay, let me get our Sploosh player out of here. Let's get our bucket in, like for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this next team here.
So it's not like randomized in game. It's randomized like beforehand, so you can make changes.
Yeah.
Before the match. Oh, okay. I assumed you just did like the random like map picks and you just cross out all the maps that are ineligible.
I thought it'd be like for a while too, honestly. Just they have like this like god bots. Like the Inkway bots in their server is like insane. It's actually like so like it feels like a Div 1 bot. I don't know, but
Yeah, I like that though. I really like that.
big fan.
Big
Yeah, this next team
fan.
here is very, very, very stacked. Their name is Yurume no Whip, which is just Yurume no Whip. I'm trying to say this like Englishy way. Yurume no Whip. There we go. This roster is insane. That leader player is the leader player that inspired everyone to be like, oh my god, leader might actually be good in this meta. It's Semi Kasato,
Oh,
the guy that got second in Flower Series.
Oh yeah. They're really good. I remember that set, and I think it was grand finals. That was insane.
I love that they've set them all to then all of them do attacker.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
That is really funny. Hold on.
Will
One
that
game
be their
plan.
tap shots?
Yeah, right in tap
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah. Tap shot E leader. Here we go. I'm gonna get a 20 bomb.
Oh, heck
Yeah. That S-Bus is also on the same roster of Samurai Cats. It's Hitokuchi Taberu, and was playing with Kasato. That duo is just ridiculous. Their chem is insane. The individual players are so good. Kino Pico, the Tri-Slosher, that's actually the Tri-Slosher we looked at earlier. So making a bit of a hi, I'm here doing this too kind of thing. But Jitachi at the top there, that Splash-O-Matic, 3.7k splash, very, very, very good. And then finally, the fifth player is someone that is insane in solo, but doesn't do as many tournaments. Azu. Azu was one of the best squeezers back then. I believe they got 4K with the gun. Now that squeezer is kind of nerfed. Gonna play pro nowadays. That is one of the routes for squeezer players. Unfortunately, it's like you gotta play pro, or you gotta play S-Blast, or you're quitting the game, buddy.
It's funny
Definitely a
how
solid
I
team.
know. It's funny how I know how Kino Pico is actually, I think, Toadette in Japanese.
Oh, that's cute.
Kino Pio, I think, is Toad, and then Kino Pico is Toadette, if I'm not mistaken. So
I like that. That's clever. That's clever.
yep.
And then one more team here before I have a good overall question for all y'all. But it's 13-year Chizoku. It's a cheese, and then I like it. I like cheese. Cheese is good. Munada there is a mid that I believe played Bucket in the past. One of the stronger midline players, like at this high-ish top level. Nine Ray, the Bucket player, did qualify for King's Cup, which is that crazy as heck Japanese tournament where it's like one team for each mode, and then Nine Ray was on the team that got second in Splat zones. They lost to Norishio's team in the zones qualifier, but Norishio's team had to drop, so then they ended up playing their place. But so second in that is insane. Shito is the S-Blast, very great S-Blast player on their board, has a good XP peak as well. But Inoten, oh my god, Inoten actually won the area cup that we were looking at earlier. The Squiffer team unfortunately got second, but Inoten was the one to deal that finishing blow. So
okay.
Love how they have all three minis and not just one. I love the mini Splatling.
Yes.
It's one of those weapons that you love when it's on your team, and then when you have a goated mini on the other team, it's just so hard to fight against.
Yeah.
Especially for me as a Zuka player, if I see a really good Zimmy on the other team, I'm gonna be like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say there?
Yeah, I'm happy there's been a mini resurgence, but I just wish they'd given it Inkstorm, and so we can have the fun weapon. But yeah. Anyway, you had a question for us post after the teams. What were you?
Yeah. Now that Inkway is about to happen, and we've gone through multiple weeks in the NA League, these sort of multi-week formats where the teams are in the NA League's case very strict. Inkway also pretty strict there, very strict as well actually. How important are leagues as a whole to the growth of Splatoon scene? Because, there's a lot of tournaments. There's a ton of tournaments. Even during, Splatoon 3's more dark ages, there'll still be like a good amount of tournaments like hosted in the scene. But leagues are a different kind of production. There's more stakes. A lot of times it's more games. It forces more chemistry out of the teammates themselves, more adaptation as well. If it's like a really high variety of map modes. How important would you guys say leagues are to Splatoon 3 and its competitive growth?
I mean, I'd say leagues are really important. There's not too many of them. I was saying earlier, there's not too many that happen nowadays, but they definitely put more emphasis on teams staying together and growing synergy throughout a period of time. And then on top of that, I guess I don't think about this much, but not only is like the team that you are sticking with growing in your consistency, but you're also fighting enemy teams that are also doing that, and you have to figure out how to adapt to them throughout a course of like, I don't know, a few months, because you're going to have to fight them and beat them eventually. With random tournaments, it doesn't happen so much like that. So I think the having more emphasis on giving teams a reason to stick around with each other and improve off of one another will help the community, or like help the Splatoon scene by giving more opportunities for people to push each other's like personal and I guess like team growth, and to continue to I guess like push other teams too to keep growing off of each other and improving. I think the main issue with leagues though is actually getting people to play them. It is a pretty big commitment. So getting people to play like throughout, I don't know, a few months is a lot harder than to actually get, to have a weekend tournament and then have a bunch of people show up. So I think they are fairly important though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what you said about like playing against other teams all the time is definitely true, because I know just for us the DPS only versus Freedom head to head has been going throughout all of NA League. And yeah, I definitely think like when I watch a lot of esports outside of Splatoon, and like the first few weeks of NA League, I was like, oh my god, this feels like a real esports or like scene. Like it feels like um it like feels like something akin to like the VCT or the RLCS. Like I really hope they do this again, maybe in Europe, or at least in like some of their capacity. Because it's like I think it's really cool. It is like it is a different it is a huge commitment. I think like even more than something like Ludi, because Ludi is shorter-ish if you don't make playoffs. And also is like one match per week at any point, while this is every Saturday for 3+ hours. And like more if you're warming up and more if you get into bracket. Like I know Red Shell, you've probably been on the 9 to 5 in NA League basically. So but it is like I think it's really cool for I don't know. I think it's good for like player growth maybe, but I also think it's good for seeing public image, I guess, like having it is a legitimizing. And I think this NA League has been very like legitimizing almost for Splatoon esports. Like it seems like it is an esport like production that is like worth taking seriously as more than just like the occasional grassroots tournament, which I think is really cool, just from like an outside esports perspective. But yeah, that's my take.
But yeah, I think it's a lot better for viewers with NA League. I personally don't watch much Splatoon or even just video game sports in general, but leagues, NA League's been the first time I've actually been watching some of it, because it's a lot more engaging to see other teams improve and stick together throughout a length of time in order to actually win some stuff. So the last time at least personally, I only really watched Ludi a while back when I used to play in that, which was I don't know. So I don't know. At least for the viewer and just like you said, legitimizing the actual scene. It makes them feel more professional, and you get to keep an eye out on different players that you will want to see get better, or what happens to other teams throughout the league. It's more of a story, I guess, than just one day of a tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I think like the potential for storyline over 2+ months of like actual tournament play is so much more. Like I think I've said before, like Valorant official Valorant LANs are like a month long. um
Wow.
so the the story arc over the there's like an actual story arc over the course of the tournament, and like by the time you're in grands, there's like so much tension built up from like a month of the tournament happening. And like I think the same thing will basically happen with this tournament. The build up the build up in finals after 2 months of everyone playing each other is gonna be crazy. Especially when like the top teams have been like pretty back and forth, like with Fofofo and FT Win and Milky Way. So like I don't think there's a clear favorite at this point, and I think the hype will be so much like the hype is so much greater for leagues and long tournaments. Like you just have the storyline factor is much more.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that does.
definitely agree. You can go.
I really like the points you two brought up there between like the story aspect of it, and also that it does feel like there is more of a reason to watch. It's like in Red Shell, like your case where it's like you don't usually watch Splatoon or that many video game like tournaments, but then the league's nature of like the multi-week, the sort of returning teams, the almost branding in a way sometimes too of like, oh yeah, okay, this team, I want to see how they match up against this group this time. That is a lot more. It's just inherently a more interesting, just like weekly number 5. Yeah, awesome, yay. Good point there. Very
Yep.
good point there. I also do really like the when the leagues have really open map lists between like Inkwave with like its 5 maps and like all that modes, but also like the Eddie League with basically 50 potential modes because like 10 maps and 5 modes for all of them. There's so much ceiling with that you can't grind if it's just a weekly format.
Yeah, certainly. There's a lot of practice throughout these few weeks, and on top of that, with the maps, you got to figure out what maps your team even wants to play, and how to and counterpick into other teams depending on what team you're fighting. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it makes it a lot more interesting because now your team has counterpicks you want to pick, the other team has counterpicks they want to pick, and depending on a lot of different factors, that changes throughout the match itself. And if you fight them again, you might have to switch up your counterpicks if they didn't work or something. So yeah, just I like
It's
the
so
point.
interesting. Uno, what's your thoughts about leagues as a like how beneficial they are to split the comp Splatoon and its growth?
What Red Shell said was pretty much what I was gonna say. Like the storyline factor is really nice because it's like once upon a time, and then it like goes to like an action-packed like scene, and it's like so interesting to see how teams like battle it out and who will become victorious, and then happily ever after, and then. But yeah, what Red Shell said really, I agree with.
So um I assume we'll probably do NA League predict like finals predictions before finals. So I don't know what uh um I imagine let's not do that right now, but I mean like all of us, I think at least me and Pastry, like we've all played some of the top teams, like Red Shell. I'm sure you've been playing a bunch of them. Like Red Shell, what like
Mhm.
if you had to pick like one team, who is your favorite to win any league? Like as sort of a closing note, I think.
So I would really like to see Fofofo actually take the whole thing, but I don't have a crazy amount of experience with FT Win yet. I've only fought them once, and I think Milky Way is a really strong team. It's gonna be hard for them Fofofo to get past them. I think personally, I think I would like Fofofo to win, but I think Milky Way has a good chance of taking the whole thing. So be interesting to see by the end. And of course, Doc Motif's gonna win.
Right,
No
right, of
chance.
course. Yeah.
Time for Duck Motif to get place number 0, and then you have first place. So you're just a grand. You're according to Nintendo terms, you'll just be the grand winners.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
100%.
I really do hope that the FT Wen can like make it so that Fofofo can struggle a little bit more. I know that they lost 6-2 or 2-6 in grand finals last week or this most recent week. But I hope that they can you know make it at least closer than it was per se. I don't know how to word it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I want to see that game 5. I want to see that game 5 at least once.
We gotta get a Game 5 bracket reset in the finals.
Every time.
Yeah.
Fofofo versus Milky Way or something, or Milky Way versus FT Wind or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so
I
hype.
feel like it's
What
gonna
would-
happen.
What would be really insane if it was FT Win versus Fofofo in the grand finals? That would be really interesting. The plot twist. Ooh.
Ooh. Okay. I have two answers to this. I have my objective answer and I have the answer I want to see. My objective answer is FT Win. FT Win, when they have the momentum, is like so stupidly hard to beat. Sometimes they struggle to like get that momentum set up, but it's like Kyo when he's locked in, or it's like the right time with like the rosters and their chem. It's like they look like the best team sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I can agree with that.
that's my objective answer. But the answer I want to say is, I want freedom. I want DPS only. I want
Oh my
TZS, and I
God.
want Duck Motif in the top 4. That's what I want right there.
We are not top 8.
True.
Neither of
Wild.
us.
No, we got a top 2 like the last 2 weeks. So you gotta like pray like 5 teams disconnect. There we go.
Yep.
Can't
It's
wait to
happened
face you
before.
in grand finals, Rachel.
Oh, yep. It'll be
Oh,
Oh.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, we didn't even
snap.
mention Sugarfish Lemons. No, yeah. I mean, like, I feel like it's got to be between FT Win and Milky Way. I feel like Sam and Bran might be like the best players in North America right now. So, but yeah. All right, you heard it here first. TZS versus Duck Motif Grants.
Yep.
It's gonna happen.
100%.
And yeah, 100%.
Definitely. 100%
It happens in
This is-
preseason.
Yeah, this is happening in preseason. This is Beep's, exactly. This is Beep's official policy.
If we
is the
don't get
official
this grand
stance.
finals, then we're rioting. I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
going back to full circle.
Yeah, it'll go back to week 1, and it'll be TGS versus Duckman Team. Anyway, all right. So I think with that we can probably close up because hasn't been as much. I think NA League has almost been siphoning a lot of the hype away from some other events. So, like we have a Syndicate finale coming up soon, but and Super Jump coming up
Yeah.
not super soon, but for now I think that's most of what we've got to talk about. So I think guests like where can we reach you?
I'm Peak Puppy Pastry at all my socials. I actually streamed earlier today some eights. I really like to host things with like competitive matches with the viewers. I also really like to post insights that I find on Blue Sky, for example. So Twitch and Blue Sky, those are the two biggest sites to reach me.
You can find me at a lot of places with Luna in it, with 3 A's. You can find me on Twitch at LunaKH 3 A's. You can find me on Twitter, Luna Rose 3 A's 2 E's. Also on YouTube and on Blue Sky Luna.live 3 A's.
You can find me at x.com/redshell15 or twitch.tv/redshell1. I'm not super active on Twitch anymore, but sometimes still boot it up.
And of course, Fern, I've been here the whole time. I remixed Fern on B-Sky, remixed Fern _Nautilus on YouTube, and we have Vapor. Vapor, do you still
Hi.
post YouTube videos?
I mean, I still stream on YouTube.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do. I have been watching it. Okay. So I think that'll be the
But-
show for tonight. Yeah.
But instead of subscribing to me on YouTube, you should subscribe right here to Broadcasting
Yeah, you
Esports
should
Every Play.
Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Broadcast Beep, and also on Twitch, I guess. So yeah, I think that'll probably be the show for tonight. We'll be back next week with the recap for NA League Week 7, and I don't know. Is there anything happening this weekend? Does anyone know?
Yeah,
No.
There's Low Ink. We might recap Low Ink. Who knows?
True.
Maybe. So, all right. See everyone next week.